Hello everyone, Yanni Plays here and welcome back to the animated Minecraft series. So in the last episode we learned how to add our rigs, how to navigate around in Blender, and then we made a very simple scene, which is a single light and not a lot of optimization. So today we are going to look at the more advanced rig, how to bring it in. We're going to repeat again how to add skins, but we're also going to look at, well, how do we edit skins? Because if you can see, when we zoom in all the way here, you can still see my eyes behind it. So we have to get rid of those eyes so that we can use the 3D animated eyes here. And then we're going to learn how do we set up a scene, how do we use lighting in different ways, how can we get a simple background in, how we can add a few other Minecraft items, and what are the options that we can do with them. So at the end of this tutorial you are going to be able to create a scene like this one here. So but first let's go ahead and add our advanced rig. So we are going to select the cursor and we are going to place where we would like to start, and then we are adding our rig. And again, there are multiple different ways on how we can add them. We can do it up here through MC Prep. We can click Shift and A and add MC Prep, or we can go over to the right side into the mobs and find our player. Now to make sure that our player has a space to stand on, we are going to add a plane. So Shift A, Mesh, and then a plane. And you can see now we have a plane underneath our player. To size that up, we are going to press S. And we're just going to make it a little bit bigger so that we have a little bit more area to work with. Then we're going to select our player. We press G to grab set to go on the set axis, and we're going to move it down until we are slightly clipped through the plane. You also can go underneath and you can see that part of our feet now are sticking through. Now let's go ahead and change the skin. So we're selecting our rig here. Now, when we select it, you can see here on the right, we are starting to get more and more different players in here. So you actually can go in here and you can rename them. So this way you can start organizing things, because if you have a larger scene, then it is going to get hard to keep an overview on what all you have. And you also can very simply turn on and off a whole player, or you look back over towards the axolotl, we can just completely turn it on and off so that you can select the things that you need. And also in here you can use the box select, so if you want to select all of them you can do that. And we're going to do that, and then we are going to apply a different skin. Now, as you learned in the last video, we can easily with MC Prep add different skins. And instead of always just using my username, well, let's just go ahead and use one from one of my viewers. And here you can see we now have this viewer's skin added. Now, as you can see, also this skin here, we now have our eyes here, the animated eyes, but we have the eyes on the skin as well. So the first thing that we have to do on this skin is we have to remove the painted on eyes from this skin. The best way to do that is to just go ahead and open another window. So if you go into any of the corners, you can see when I hover over the corners, we have that little crosshair showing up. And if I go in here, I click and I drag to the right, then it's opening up a second window. If I go on it and I drag down, then it opens a window down. And of course you can open as many windows as you want, and then eventually you're going to run into the issue with having way too many windows. So how do we close those windows? So if you hover in between where we have the little arrows pointing up or down or left and right, if you go on one of those and you right click, then you can join areas, and then you just say, well, do you want to join it up or do you want to join it down? So this one is joined, click on here, join those two areas. But of course, if you have like two windows here and one on this side, if we go here, you can see that we cannot join those two areas. So first we have to reduce those here to just one, and now if we go on here we can join those two areas. But we don't have to stay in the same view, we can display something entirely different. So for that we go into the top left and we click on it, and we are going into the image editor. Now let's browse for the image, and then we are just going to select the skin that we want to edit. Now let's zoom in a little bit, and again with the middle mouse button we can move everything around. And now we want to remove the eyes, and we also want to remove the mouth. To do that, we have to go from view into the paint mode. Now if we zoom out again, you can see that our brush is very large. So to make everything smaller, we just press F, and now you can see that we can reduce the size of our brush. So if we left click on a picture, you can see it is now starting to change everything. But of course, we don't want to just smoothen everything out. We just want to completely fill this face here. To select the color, we press S and we click on it. Now we have this color selected, and now we can just brush over. Now all we have to do is we have to save this image, and in our viewport over here, we just have to select the skin again and then click apply. And now you can see everything is gone. Now that that is out of our way, let's go ahead and start posing. So on this rig, you can see we have controls over here. We have multiple different things that we control on the face, and we have some controls up here, a lot of different things in our hands, etc. So let's first start with the face. So if you select one of those little controls here, you can see they are all being highlighted. And if we change over to the pose mode, you can see it is going to show us a whole bunch of different things that we can control. So now if I click on one of those little things here, you can see they are highlighting. And each of those we now can use Chi to move around. For example, we can lift the brow. If we go to the side, it is going to tilt them. We can move them down, move them up, so we can change it over here. And of course we can do the same over on the other side. If you want to round one of the eyebrows, you can just select the one that you want. You can move and drag it in whatever area you need it. And this one here is going to move our pupil around. We can also move both of them at the same time. We go in the one in between. Then the triangles down here are for the mouth. So if I select one of those, then I can open the mouth. You can make it wider. Pull it up, pull it down. So that you could do a talking animation, or of course you can put a smile on or a frowny face. So here I just recommend go in, click on those different boxes. For example, this box here, well, what's going to change? What's going to change the shadow in between? What is this box here going to change? Click on it. Oh, we can make our whole face longer. And as always, if you do something and you don't like it, then you just right click and it goes away. Now, if you want to go ahead and change the player's eye color, that is a fairly simple thing that you can do. All you have to do is we go back into the object mode and then select the eyes. And then when you go over here into the material properties, you can see that it is now automatically selecting the player iris. If we click on this X here, you can see both of them are blank now because no color is assigned. Then all we're going to do is we click on new, and then in a base color we are going to select whatever color you want. You can go around the wheel, pick what you want, and if I remember correctly, he had black eyes, so I'm just going to put them in as black. Down here are a lot of different things that you can play with. The one to point out probably will be roughness. If you turn that up, it is super rough. If you turn it all the way down, the eyes are very shiny. Another one that you can play with is metallic. And now on the black, it is not showing that good. Go and get them a little bit more gray. So as you can see, it is just going to give it a little bit more of a shine to it, a metallic shine, if you turn that higher up. So now that our face is completed, let's go ahead and pose our character. Now this character here is rooted to the floor. So if we click the torso and then we press Chi, then you can see we are just moving around and the legs and everything are going to automatically try staying at the place of the root. But of course we can still change the feet. For that we just select one of them and we can move it around. And as you can see now, the foot is trying to go into this little hold whenever possible. We can also rotate it. You can twist the whole leg left and right. And if at any point something is wrong, you could just select it, Alt R, Alt S, and Alt G, and then we are back in the beginning position that we started. All right, so let's go ahead and strike a little pose here. Then we also have fingers that you can get out here. You just select each of those. Now on the controls on the left, if you click on those and you drag them around, you can see what the changes that are happening. That is just details. For example, this one here is some foot details. This one here is if the foot is turned inwards or outside. Now let's go ahead and add a helmet to this face. So as you can see, when we click on the head, it is going to switch between the head itself and the outer layer. What we're going to do is we are going to select Shift D. So now we duplicated that head. We do right click so it snaps back in place. And then we go over into the material tab and we click on this little number here. So we are going to give this one a different name, and I'm just going to call it helmet. Now let's go ahead and find a helmet. So for that, we are going into MC Prep, we are going into advanced, and then we are selecting this little folder here. And we're going one layer up, and we are going into the resource pack, MC Prep, assets, Minecraft, textures. Then we go into the models, into the armor, and now we can select what helmet we would like to put on. Let's go ahead and select the layer 1 diamond helmet and click on accept. So and then we are going to select the diamond layer 1 and we click on apply layer 1. Then we go into the UV editing. Now in here you can see that our helmet is up here. So next we have to select that duplicate head that we just created. So for that we're going into our model, open up the player armor, and then you should have player head alpha 002. That is what we created, and we actually can go ahead and rename that so that in the future we know what it is. If you click on it and then you hit A on your keyboard, it is going to select all of it. Now everything highlighted in orange is now what our texture is going to look like, and as you can see right now it is over the void, so we're going to have to move it. But you also can see that the scale is off. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to scale that to the correct size. So let's just go ahead and select all of it. Then we hit S, and then we hit 2. And now you can see everything doubled. Now we click Y. So now we scaled it up around the Y-axis. I click on my left mouse button, and next I am going to hit the G, and now I can move it over this, and the whole helmet is covered. Now you may wonder, well, what is this blank area here? Well, that is the underside of the helmet that does not have anything in it. And now we can go ahead and close our UV editor, and we are back in here. And now that we are back in our edit mode view, you can see that the helm is on all kinds of crooked, so it did not took the rotation of the head. But that is just how it is displayed right now. So if we are changing over into the object mode, boom, now it's completely gone. So now what are we going to do? Well, right now the helmet is inside of the head. So what we have to do next is we have to make sure that our helmet is selected here. Then we click S and we scale the helmet out a little bit. Now, as you can see, we have some areas that are not properly covered. So probably because our UV map wasn't perfect. So what we have to do is we go back into the edit mode. We make sure that our helmet is selected, press A, if needed, and then we are just going to open up a new window, switch over to the UV editor again, zoom in, and see if we can find out what exactly the issue is. It's this one over here. As you can see, we still have some black. I'm just gonna scale everything down a little bit more. Move it up into this corner. Go back into the object mode. And now, as you can see, the helmet is on perfectly. Now with the helmet selected, you can press S and you can scale it in if you want to have it closer to your face, or you can scale it up. I usually just go until the eyebrows are barely covered. And if you want, of course, you can also do G and lift the helmet up if you would like it to be sitting up a little bit higher. So you can move the helmet around however you want. Now let's go ahead and add a scene around it. So for that, we are going back into MC Prep and into the atoms, and we are going to find what material we would like this character here to walk on. Now, sometimes you may not have everything in here, so all you would have to do is click on the little folder down here, and then you go into MC Prep default, the assets, Minecraft textures, and then you would have the blocks here that you would have to load. And when we're in here, we just click on accept, and it is going to reload everything. So since we're already in S, let's just go and get the stone bricks. So we select the stone bricks, and then we do place stone bricks. Now, if you want to duplicate that, you just do Shift D. And next we're pressing G, and we can move it around and place it. But of course, we just want that this one here is snapping right to the next one. So what we're going to do is we are going to hold Control, and now it is snapped in place. So we do it again, Shift D, G, move it, and then we can snap it in place. Now, depending on how your viewport is set, as you can see here, I have an issue snapping it next to this one here. So in that case, what you would have to do is just change the viewport a little bit and then try again. And as you can see, now it is snapping perfectly to this place here. But you probably don't want to tile everything by hand, so you can multi-select, Shift D, G, and then again you can snap it right over here. So now that we have our bricks down, let's go and put a little back wall up. Now, of course, you could do the same approach and you could tile them and build them up and set everything in there. However, if you are planning to have a whole back set or backdrop and a whole scene set up, you're better off to just build it in Minecraft and then import it into Blender. And we're going to look at that in our further tutorials. So make sure to hit the subscribe button so I can show you how we are doing that. But what I do very often is just to have a plain single color background, and for that we are going to select our cursor somewhere in the back where we would like to have this plane put in. Then we do Shift A, add a plane, then we hit rotate. We're rotating it around the x-axis, and then we type in 90. And then we can hit enter, and now we have a perfect plane that goes 90 degrees up. Now we can hit scale, and we can scale it up so that the whole background is filled. Now, if you want to change the color of the plane, we're going back to our select tool. We select the plane, and we are going into the material. And then the material, we can go on to new material, and in here you can change your color, so you just change that to whatever you want. But if you would prefer to put a picture in the back, you also can do that. So you are clicking again on new material, Then in new material, you go to the base color, but instead of clicking on the color itself, you just click on this yellow circle up here. And now you can add a image texture. Then you see it is opening up a new set of controls down here. You click on open and you just go and find whatever picture you would like to add to the background. Now, if you want to go ahead and add a text, we just do Shift A and then we add a text. And let's just move it to the front. And once the text is selected, we can go into the edit mode. We can delete everything. We can type in our text that we want. Now, as you can see, it is just a plain 2D text. So if you would like to give it a little bit more, you can right click on it and you can adjust the extrusion. So you can pull it out a little bit just to give it a little bit more depth. And of course, also this text you can scale however you want it. You can rotate it however you want it. And if you want to have more options over here on the right side, we now have this new workbench called object data properties. So if you click on that, you can change a few different things. For example, in geometry, you can change the extrusion that we just did. If you want to give it a bevel, you can make it round. So you see now we have rounded corners. Now the last thing that we're going to look at is lighting. So if we go into our shading viewport, we can see that currently everything is very, very dark. So to fix that, let's add some lights, and we select Shift A and then you go into light. So in here we have a few different lights that we can use. I usually use the area light combined with the spotlight. So first let's go ahead and add our spotlight. Once your spotlight roughly is positioned, we are going over into the viewport shading again. And as you can see, we did not have a lot of changes here. So again, we do G and now we hit the set twice so that we can move it just a little bit closer so we have a little bit more power of the light. So let's go into our light viewport. So as you can see, we have a little bit light now behind it, but still not much. So if you go into the light settings down here, you can change the power output. Let's just turn it up to 200. You can see we now have a little bit more back here. Maybe we need to go even more. So now we have some bright light on the helmet. And now next we are just going to add an area light just to give more light to everything. And here I recommend to put the light in from the side. And also here we hit rotate and we are going to rotate it around the y-axis and we're putting in 90. So now you can see the light is shining away from the character, and that's one thing that can happen a lot at the beginning. You add the light and you play with the power level, but nothing really changes until you realize that the light is shining in the wrong direction. Then we're going to scale it up. An area light I always make as big as possible, and this one here probably is going to need about 400. Let's go ahead and see how it looks like, and I think that does not look too terribly bad. Now of course the background picture isn't the best, so you would have to put something on the other side too, but here we're just going to focus mainly on the character. Also, with being a mostly black character, it is kind of hard to see all the shadowing, but I think this one here now will be ready to render. So for that, we push the 0 on our numpad. So we are heading over to our camera, and then remember Shift and the tide key, the one under the escape, is going to bring us into the fly mode. And then when the camera is positioned the way we want it, we hit the left mouse button. And now we're checking again with the light on how does the light look like from the camera. And yes, we have some last shadowing around here. I like that. Pretty harsh one down here from the spotlight. We have some shadowing inside of our hand. So we are ready to render. So to render, we hit F12. And now our scene is rendering. Now while this picture here is still rendering, I will go ahead and close this video. Now I hope you learned something today on how do we use the more advanced rig and how do we pose it there, and also how can we add items like, for example, a helmet to a character. If so, please give me a like, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and subscribe. I am posting videos around Minecraft animation every Wednesday, and I'm also posting a lot of other Minecraft related videos on an almost daily basis. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.